is a D6 generation pip. Yeah, one of those dots on the side of a six-sided die. Yeah, a pip. You know, a short pip. Little something. Yeah, about anything gaming related. Sometimes featuring Craig, sometimes featuring Russ. We'll see what's coming up today. Hey everyone, welcome to another Pip. I'm excited to be back here. It's late July, still in the time of COVID 2020. I think that's redundant because if you're in 2020, you're pretty much in the time of COVID. So, hey, I wanted to share with you, it's just me today. Russ, Craig is off doing some Craig-like activity. But I wanted to share with you, I got an exciting unboxing that I wanted to do live on the air. I'll also put some pictures up of this. And I may do a little bit of short video on it also for our patrons. But for everybody here, I definitely want to do a live unboxing of a brand new game from Privateer Press, Warcaster. It just came out. I backed the Kickstarter. Now, for those of you who've been following along a little while, I think I talked about this in the past. Obviously, Privateer Press has been hyping it up. It's their brand new sci-fi game, miniature war game. And they started it with a Kickstarter, but they were very clear that the production run was already in process. The Kickstarter was just to get a little amped up revenue behind it so they could get it really kicked off, but they were going to deliver really quickly. So I jumped into the Kickstarter when they launched it back in February, March, and they were planning on delivering in July. So there was never any doubt it was coming out in July. And sure enough, here it is, July 24th. And literally in the mail this morning came two of the objects I backed. So I'm very excited to share these. So Warcaster, for those of you who don't know, is as I mentioned, it's a new miniature game from Privateer Press. It is sci-fi. And what's interesting about it is it's sort of in the same it's in the same universe as Iron Kingdom, sort of like in the far future. And there are some tiebacks and forth. And in fact, there's some nuanced hinting in the fluff from what little we could gather on the Kickstarter and on some of their YouTube videos that there are some tie-ins beyond that. But essentially, it's a sci-fi game. What got me sort of excited about it was I've always liked Privateer Press's art. I know Craig has a different opinion of that for me, but I love it. But also the mechanics intrigue me because there aren't a lot of miniature games that work this way. One of the fundamental mechanics is that you're summoning folks into the battlefield as you play. Summoning's the wrong term, makes it sound like it's magic. You're sort of teleporting through gateways. And that represents that's sort of how points work. So there aren't really any points in the game. Instead, you pay essentially warp-in costs. The idea is the game is called Warcaster, and you are, in fact, a Warcaster in orbit. So you, the player, are the Warcaster, and you're sort of like strategically controlling from orbit your forces as they go into the planet, and you're sort of warping them in through these, I'm going to get the terminology wrong, but basically warp gates. So your army list, as it were, is just guides off to the side of the table. You don't pay any points for them, but it's going to cost you points to bring them in. So you're going to want to balance what you're bringing in. And then, of course, certain types of units do a better job of bringing more units in. Other certain types of units claim objectives, things like this. So it's kind of got a little bit of a keep flooding guys onto the table feel, a little bit like an RTS going on, which is kind of unique for a miniature game. I know it's been done in board games like Rivet Wars and things. It'll be interesting to see how this works out. So I was intrigued. I bought in. So I'm pretty excited about this. And as you know, I am a Privateer Press fanboy. I managed to avoid Riot Quest and the new Monster Apocalypse, but I've still been avidly collecting my War Machine stuff and playing with my daughter. So when this came out, I was very excited. So right in front of me here, I backed at the level where I would get two armies. My plan here is my oldest daughter, Rose, is about to go off to college, so I'm losing my War Machine player. My plan here is to paint up both these box sets and see if my youngest daughter would play with me, or I'll just find some local gamers to play with me. But I think she might enjoy it from the way the game plays, and she's not a painter, but I'll take care of that part, because I do like painting. And now in the time of COVID, I'm getting a lot of painting done. So what I've got in front of me here, two boxes that got shipped to me. Now, when you back the Kickstarter, there's multiple waves. So there's going to be 4 factions pretty quickly. The first 2 factions are coming out in July, which is now, the ones I have. The second 2 factions are coming later, August, October time frame, somewhere in there, along with other stuff. So I actually backed a few bonus things that are coming in wave 2. But right now I've got 2 starter boxes. And what's cool is They definitely look like, these don't look like your typical Kickstarter. They look like the kind of things that you would expect to see on a store shelf, all packed up neatly. They're sort of small, half-size boxes, the kind of thing you see as maybe like a small army box. And again, these are great art on them. For example, I'm looking at right now the Iron Star Alliance Command Group box set. And on the back here, great art. They've got nice little things about game time and 2 players and all that. And then, of course, you see all the models that come in here. So in this box, I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sort of normal, fancy-looking sci-fi infantry dudes, one of which being sort of the main guy, the Weaver. But then also you get a Firebrand, which is sort of like a big armored suit, almost like a small Warjack or a Dreadnought kind of thing. With a cool-looking glowy sword and shield. So I'm going to pop this baby open. Let's see what's inside of it. And then the other one, the other box I got is the Marcher Worlds, an opposing faction here. And they look pretty cool, too. They got long, sort of rectangular gun barrels. And in their box, you've got, again, the same number of dudes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sort of infantry-sized dudes. These are, by the way, these are 35 millimeters. So we're going to expect to see them... a little bit bigger, but not much, than your normal, miniature, like not 28, obviously. And then it's got the one big sort of Warjack's sort of big robot thing going on there, too. So, all right, so let's open up. I'm going to open up the Iron Star Alliance, or should I open up Marcher Worlds? I don't know. I can't decide. It's kind of cool. It's an unboxing. I got 2 things to unbox. I'm going to go with Marcher Worlds. I do like them to give you a visual here, and now that my friends at Privateer Press are going to kill me, but their guns look a little Taoish in a good way. Sort of square, rectangular, lots of glowy bits. Very cool. I'm going to open these up here and take a look at this. So I'm going to pop my box open here. It's going to slide it out. It's got a nice cardboard insert here. I'm going to open this up, and I'm seeing everything I expect to come in this little starter box. So supposedly, I've got everything I need to play this faction, short of tables and terrain, obviously, but looks like I got some little, these little individually wrapped, you can hear the crinkling, sort of like cellophane wrapped bags of coolness. Now these models look like they're not going to be plastics, these are going to be metals. Let me take a look here and see what we got. It's been a while since I played with metal models. This is honestly, kind of looking forward to this. I know there's sort of always been a religious debate in our community around whether or not plastic or metal is better. If you're old school, you might miss the metals. Oh, I know what these are. These are the special, so... Remember I mentioned this was a Kickstarter bonus. I think these little baglets here are sort of the Kickstarter bonus things that came in the box. So one of the things that was a stretch goal was, as I mentioned, there's these little, like, I should look up in the rulebook what they're called. These little, like, gateways that you sort of teleport your dudes through. And so certain guys can set the gateways. And then you, what's kind of neat about the mechanics, when you set the gateways, you put a certain number of these, I got to look all the rules up now, but these points on the gateways that allow you to bring other guys through them. Now, as your enemies start shooting the gates, which they can do, it knocks the points off the gate. And if the points get reduced to 0, the gate's destroyed. But what's also interesting is even knocking a few points off the gate is bad for the gate owner because you spend the points on the gate to bring dudes through it, right? So it's kind of like the amount of energy it's got stored in it to bring folks through. So these are the 3D gates, because I think without the stretch goal, the gates would have been tokens on the tabletop. But these are now cool metal. They look like sort of like rings. Like metal rings that are vertical, almost like a mini Stargate, if you will. And then in the middle of this, they've got like a sort of a ball that I'm going to paint like a glowing plasma ball where you come through the warp. So those are cool. There's a little bag of 2 of those, which is neato. And then I'm going to open this other bag up here. And I think you need 2. I think you can usually have 2 on the table at once. Again, all my rule memory are going from the few videos I watched, so don't hold me to any of this stuff. And I just finished up my Star Wars Legion, so I'm pretty excited to have time to paint this stuff. Okay, now the next little bag is a model. It's a great looking sculpt. Let's look on the back of the box here. It's one of the dudes. It's the, or it might be a dudette. Sorry here. Oh yeah, it looks like she might be another one of the Kickstarter ones. Can't tell who she is, but she looks cool. She's got another one of those really cool sort of rifle things going on there. The sort of the rectangular guns. Sort of like a modern military fully automatic weapon. Looks really cool. She looks awesome. I like her sculpt. And again, she's metal. Not a lot of flashing, which is in fact almost 0 flashing. Nice job out of the mold. Not really need to do any filing for that one, so that's really sweet. And I got another little bag. So it looks like all the models are in the little bags. They're all metal. I got them in little bags here. I'm going to go through these. Got to look at all the models. So the next little model here is, let's see what we got going on here. I'm opening it. I'm so this is great radio. Just going to pop this open. And, I got a bag of something. There's more than one dude in this one. Yep, there's several. These are mostly the infantry guys. These are going to be the, let's see, what are they called? These are the Ranger Fire Team, it looks like. That's really cool. So it looks like I got the Coalition Weaver is what I was looking at, but she had a different looking head than the picture. Maybe you got alt sculpts here. And then you got the Fire Team. And again, they look like, honestly, they look like about the same scale as War Machine. The bases look identical. These miniature bases, they are the classic War Machine bases for infantry. So that's cool. And then I got another little bag here. And let's see what's in this one. So I'm opening this up now. I know it's great radio here. These are hard to open. But it's kind of cool. They're individually they're not hard to open, rip open. I'm just trying to open them neatly so I can put it all away again. Because I'm not going to be painting all these tonight. Oop, here we go. This looks like a major leader type person. Oh yeah, this looks like the, yeah, that's the Hunter. And she's got a Coalition Weaver. Sorry. And she's got a cool looking staff thingy. So that looks cool. And then we got the big heavy bag. I'm going to go with, that is the Dust Wolf, which is their sort of big, I keep wanting to call it a Warjack, which I know, again, privateer friends are going to be like, Russ, it's not a Warjack in this game. I understand. So let me see. They got the giant privateer press base, the classic, and pulling out my metal bits here, trying to keep it all together. Man, again, I have to say, privateer, nice job. There is no mold lines in this. There's no mold lines. There's no flashing to clean. It's going to be glue it together and go. These metal parts look awesome, I have to say. They look really great. Now they're not on sprues, obviously, because they're metal, but the parts are just in a bag. So a little super glue, stick all that together, will be great to go. Now also in here, I got one more model to put together to look at. I feel like I have a bonus model, because the Ranger team was 3. And then maybe there's a bonus model because of the stretch goal. Let's go back. But it's always nice to find extra stuff in your box. That's always a win. And then let's see what else is here. Another person, little dude. This one looks like, oh yeah, this guy is the sniper type dude. He's the Hunter, so he's got a cool sniper-y type weapon. So he looks awesome. I love his gun. And again, I'm looking for those flash lines. I'm not seeing them. This is great. I don't even have to file these dudes. It's just assemble, prime, and paint. Always nice. You know, I don't know about you guys, but since the advent of like contrast paints and everything, painting is like the fastest step. The longest step is assembly and priming for me, which is weird. All right, so also in the box, so that's all the models, which is great. So I'm pleased. They look awesome. I can't wait to assemble them. And again, I'll put pictures up on the website. Now, also in the box, I get a bag of dice. Now, here, Privateer has gone with sort of the Monster Apocalypse dice model. And I remember seeing this in the video. You're getting a bag of, looks like I've got one black traditional 6-sided die with pips on it, which is good because everybody needs a pip. But then you're going to get 9 dice. It looks like we're going to have 3 red dice and is that right? No, sorry. I said 9. Looks like more than that. Anyway, you're going to get 5 white dice and 5 red dice. That would be 10. And these are dice that are custom dice, so they're going to be blank on some sides and then have some number of explosion bursts, kind of like the Monster Apocalypse dice. And so you're trying to roll successes here, and it does look like, just at a glance, you want the red dice more than the white dice in terms of odds of getting explosions. So that's cool. So it's always nice to get custom dice. And then you're going to get a bunch of really glossy little cards. And they look like the cards for different things. So I've got rectangular, these are foil-y type cards with foil logos on them. This must have been another stretch goal. And it looks like I've got cards that are, oh yes, these are the weapons you can put on your various, oh, it is called a Warjack. Look at that. No. So now Privateer Press is yelling at me going, no, Russ, it is called a Warjack. Don't correct yourself. All right. Sorry, guys. So it is a Warjack, which makes it easy. So those of you who are used to calling these things Warjacks, guess what? They're Warjacks. Now, what's cool about these Warjacks is you can swap out the weapons. So what I'm looking at here is I've got a card that says, for example, the Talon rocket pod goes on the Marcher Warjack. And so I can, and its hard point is the shoulder. So these modern Warjacks in the far future have hard points, and you can swap out what weapons go on them. Awesome. Sounds like I'm going to need to get some magnet situations going on. Yeah, we got swords. And again, because this is the Kickstarter, and I don't know if these, you know, there's no stickers on these boxes saying they're the Kickstarter edition. So what I don't know is, because the Kickstarter got to a stretch goal, does everybody now get these super cool cards? Maybe it's only the first run of the game, whatever. But it is cool because these cards are cardboard. They're not laminated. The other cards are, which is sort of funky. But these cards have some cool sort of foil runes along the top that must represent this faction's awesomeness. So you got a card for each dude along with their cost and points. And then on the back, there's some cool fluff and some rules about the special. So it looks like these cards will give you everything you need to play with your guys. So I'm going through that there. And then I'm looking at the glossy cards now. And there's also glossy cards which have pictures of the various models and have that too. So it looks like some models have glossy cards and some have these cool shiny cards. Again, that's probably a stretch goal. And again, when I figure all this out, I'll do another episode about how the game works, and I'll correct everything I'm getting wrong here. This is just first impressions. So far, pretty pleased with everything. And then I've got a bunch of cards that are like, these are like little fluff cards. There's one about Crisis. I bet these are stretch goals too. That kind of give you, they're almost like little, you know what these remind me of? They remind me of the collectible cards from Star Wars when I was a kid. They got cool art on one side. On the back, there's a little bit of fluff about whatever it is. So you've got I've got a picture of a galaxy with information about the galaxy the battle's taking place in. I've got pictures and art about, looks like certain units or a location. I've got art and pictures about a world. So it's almost like the fluff is in these little cards. And as I read through them, I have it. Now also, here it is. I have a card for the void gates, which are those things I was trying to describe earlier, which is what you teleport your dudes through. And so there's a card describing the void gates. Though humanity has only the barest inkling of the true scope of the vast planetary networks of void gates created by the architects, human warcasters have mastered tactical and void gates as weapons of war. I won't read the rest of it to you, but that's the intro paragraph there. Good fluff, good writing, guys. And then I've got a little card here also that's glossy that looks like a turn summary. So it's just a double-sided small card, about the size of a playing card, printed on sideways. And yeah, it gives you basically the 4 steps of the game, plus a few extra things on the back. So that's handy. Always nice to have quick reference stuff. Then it looks like there's a deck of cards that are more your traditional sort of print quality in terms of cards, where you have, I remember from the videos, there's cards you get in your hand that you can play, use powers on to do cool things. I think they represent your Warcaster doing things from orbit. And so that's neat. So those are cards you're going to be able to play during the game. So I got those over there. Then, we got a little rule book. Hey, I have to say the rule book's nice. So I was a little worried about the rule book because at first when I opened this up, I'd forgotten that there's no like big glossy hardcover rule book. And so I was kind of like, I was kind of wanting to, dig into the big glossy hardcover rule book. And I'm opening this for the first time with you, so I didn't know what to expect. But these boxes, as I mentioned, they're kind of small. I'm looking at them. I'm looking around for a tape measure. They're about, 6 by 10, 6 by 8 in size, so not very big. And so looking at this, there's plenty of room for all the models and the cards I was just describing. And there's also in the bottom here, there's a sheet of tokens, which we're going to punch out for gameplay stuff. And then, of course, we got our bases here. And I say I got extra bases because if I didn't have the cool Void Gate metal versions, there's the cardboard ones that go in the bases here as well. So what I'm really pleased to see, and this is what I was a little nervous about, was what was the rule book going to be like? Because it's in sort of this like small starter box thing, and you kind of want a meaty, fun rule book, to get into the universe and everything. But I was expecting one of those little folded, get you started things, or maybe stapled. But no, I'm looking at the rule book. It's glossy. It's full color, right? Back from episode 1, full color rule books, please. Also, it's a bound edge, and it is this size. It's this sort of horizontal cut rule book. So imagine one that's longer than it is tall. And again, it's about, I wish I had a tape measure on me. That was an oversight. But I'm going to put it this way. I'm going to measure it in iPhones. It's about as tall as your iPhone is tall and about as wide as an iPhone and a half is tall. So just take your iPhone down and do that. And there you go. There's my complicated measuring situation. But it's not very big, but it looks nice. It's full color. It's shiny. It's full color all the way through. It's full of I'm just flipping through it now. Fantastic artwork, as well as obviously all the rules, as well as, again, the art. Oh man, the art is awesome. It reminds me of, the art style in here, I'm trying to place it. It's a little like Mass Effect meets Halo going on in here. I like it though. I like it a lot. It's very hard sci-fi. So it's very much not the grim darkness of the far future. It's very much hard sci-fi, but really cool looking glows here. Lots of mechanical armor. Again, think sort of Mass Effect-y a little bit, but really in a good way. Again, and again, it doesn't look like, it's not going to look as ripped from it. I'm just trying to give you some kind of visual sort of near it. I'm loving the art. I'm loving this book. I'm really impressed with this book, how small it is. And honestly, I love that it's small because you're going to be able to throw it right in your bag and get it where you're going. So yeah, and actually I'm going to say, let me try to summarize how much fluff you're going to get in this thing. So it looks like the first 17 pages are really fluff. So there's 17 pages of pure fluff. Then you got a couple pages of like components and explaining how the tokens work. And then a page or two of like how your force works, like what a warjack is, what a squad is, what a solo and a hero is, how reserves work, because it's a huge part of this game. You're always going to be bringing guys in from off table through these void gate things. Then it gives you sort of a broad rules overview of a couple pages. So I'm on page like 24 now, this thing. It explains what all the model stats are on your cards and everything, goes you through that. And now we're on page 26, which is where the rules actually begin, like the gameplay overview, and takes you through how everything works. And they got a few pages on combat. The line of sight section looks like they're fans of Magic Cylinder still, which is fine. But looking at this again, they've got a lot of very clear examples. Very Privateer Press, right? Another thing I'm a big fan of is Privateer Press's rules, always clean. I mean, I got to play the game a few times to see if they've got it right here this time too. But just glancing through, they nice pictures, clear pictures. And again, what's cool is the game diagrams are actually photos with the models in set positions, so you can kind of see what that looks like. And then they're overlaying the magic cylinders, and they're overlaying line of sight lines for a few different altitudes. Looks great. Flipping through the back here, it's talking about the rack and cipher cards. That was a deck of cards I was describing to you that you can play. Then it talks about how to build your army. And it's talking about void gates and deployment and all that stuff. And then let's go to the missions, because one of the big things I always check, I don't know if you're like me on this one, I always flip through the book, and I try to find... Ooh, there's rules for jumping. Neat, like jumping over gaps and stuff. Pretty sweet. Ladders, stairs, and elevators. Let me see the terrain section. Oh, yeah, there's a whole section on terrain, how rough terrain works, obscuring terrain. And they've got forest. It's going to be using the forest template rules, so not true line of sight in this thing. As much. I mean, there's magic cylinder, so you get the idea. Ladder, great. I'm going through the terrain rules here. Now here's the thing I was mentioning. I always like to jump ahead to, which is missions. So I always feel like a game is only as good as its scenarios and missions. So if you don't have any good missions in a starter set or in the first version, I always think that's a mistake. It's like a lot of game companies, they come out with a basic rule and they give you one or two missions and they're pretty much straight up fight. And it's like later they come out with missions. If you haven't captured people's imaginations in the beginning, you've lost them. And I really think missions are the way to do that. And if you can get a couple different really good varied missions that allow you to realize how replayable a game is. And I'm very excited to share with you guys some other games I've been playing, like Blood Red Skies does a wonderful job of this with their campaign book. And it looks like here I'm seeing... right when I'm in the mission generator on page 48. So again, this little book is pretty meaty. I've got a mission table that's going to give me a mission generator. It looks like there's 6 different missions in the starter set here that look like, and there's very clear rules about objectives, permanent objectives, and portable objectives. So clearly there's rules for carrying stuff around the board and everything. And again, since Privateer Press has been doing Steamroller since who knows how long, clearly they've already, and I'm even seeing here, they're already drawing out grids and areas on the board so you can see where to deploy all the objectives. There's going to be a lot of cool objective missions here. That's awesome. I like to see that already. So the missions already look very varied. They're objective based. You're going to be running around the board. And that's important too in this game because, as I mentioned, because you can keep teleporting people through these webways, there may be a way to do it, but I'm not sure tabling's really a thing because you can always bring more guys back. Because I think the rule is you can always summon guys in your deployment zone, but the void gates are cool because you can summon guys wherever there's a void gate. So I feel like you're never knocked out of the game, and it's really all about objectives, which is also interesting, right? So there's, I think Craig's going to be pleased with this because there isn't like, hey, kill the Warcaster, win the game kind of thing. It's really about the objectives. I could be wrong about that. Again, we'll talk in the future, but I'm remembering from the videos, I'm looking at these missions. Ooh, they look pretty fancy. I like it. A lot of fancy missions going on here. Looks great. Oh, wait, I was wrong. There's more missions. I'm even happier. So there's 6 primary missions, which looks sort of like, and that's where there's a D6 for the primary mission generator. But then I get past that. Now I'm on page 56. These guys must read my mind. I love this. There's the secondary missions. So in addition to the primary missions, you can also do secondary missions. You have to, I see what these are. These are secondary goals that can be set in the primary mission. So these are like secondary objectives, which is great, which will add more variety, which I love. So it's not really more scenarios per se. It's multiple things you're trying to do in the battle, which is cool. And then there's also rules for skirmish missions, meaning smaller table size, so smaller battlefield size, smaller force size. It looks like skirmish mission size are played on 30 by 30. I didn't check what the regular mission size was. Let me go flip back to that real quick. Battlefield. It's either played on 30 by 30 or 40 by 40. I'm sorry, 4 by 4. So 4 by 4 would be your normal size game, 4 foot by 4 foot. All the primary missions are to be played on 4 foot by 4 foot. So square tabletop, but good size. Skirmish missions, and again, this is small, like these starter boxes, or I shouldn't even call them, they are starter boxes, but it's command groups. You already got a pretty good sized force. The interesting thing is, if you were to buy more models, you just put them on the side of the table, right? Whoever you can bring in. So it's almost like there's never going to be huge volume of models on the table. It's just deciding who you should teleport in at the moment based on what you need. What's interesting is the skirmish missions were there. What was I trying to say about what's interesting? I guess it was not that interesting. I guess I'm just so excited I'm babbling. I apologize. But looking at the secondary missions look awesome. These look really cool too. So they're adding a little bonus sort of thing you can do. And then in the very back of the book, so now I'm on page 60. So basically there are 60 pages of fluff, how your army works, set up, and then, of course, missions and rules. And then after page 60, there are photos of painted armies. And it looks like we're going to see the starting 3 factions. My mistake. They hinted at a 4th faction, and they kind of talked about it, but they hadn't had the model sculpts done at probably the time of this printing, so they're only showing 3. They're showing the Marcher Worlds, which is the folks I'm looking at now. They're showing the Iron Star Alliance, which is the other pack I got. And then there's Eternus Continuum, which are coming out. These are the second wave guys, and they look a little more naughty. They're looking a little more like the evil dudes, although I'm sure everybody's not truly good or truly evil. So there you go. So there is that is the rule book, and if anything, that's got me more excited for everything here. So I'm really excited. I'm going to have to, I think, to make this really effective. You obviously heard me talk about everything. You heard my excitement, so I'm pretty pumped. I also have the other Warcaster force, but without pictures, it's not gonna mean much difference. It's gonna be the same sort of things in there, just different factions. So what I'll do though after this is I will later this weekend I will take some pictures, get them up, and also probably do see if I can get the models assembled, throw some of my War Machine models down next to them, and do a little video so you can get a sense of scale and size. They won't be painted yet, but you can get sort of a feeling for what they look like as well. But I'm really excited to try this out. It definitely has very unique gameplay. I love the models already. I love the art. I love the fluff. I love the world building I've already seen just from very little bit. So I'm very much looking forward to getting into this. And this, of course, is the brand new Warcaster Neo Mechanica from our friends at Privateer Press, and look forward to hearing more about this from me in the not too distant future. Ciao. Achievement unlocked. You've made it to the end of another D6 Generation episode, the podcast whose humor has universally been acclaimed as not too horrible. Please let us know what you thought of the show by emailing us at info@thed6generation.com. If for some inexplicable reason you actually enjoyed this show, you can help others find out about it by leaving positive reviews on iTunes. Thanks for listening, and happy gaming.